And if you don't know whether to fish shallow or deep, you know, a lot of people will be like, well, how do I know where to fish? How do I know where the fish are? Like I said, there's always going to be fish shallow, there's always going to be fish deep, and there's always going to be fish in the middle. It's just the sheer numbers of what you want to catch. I mean, obviously, if you have grass and like, that's going to hold numbers. You might have to catch a whole bunch of them before you find a 4 or 5 pounder, or maybe not. You know, sometimes they might be stacked in there. You might stumble across them, but generally, the biggest fish in a lake will definitely live deeper majority of the year. So what I normally do is when I first pull up in the morning, or first pull up to a spot, if I'm just fishing a spot and not a whole stretch, I'll start out deep and I'll fish out as deep as I think they're going to be. Generally 15 to 20 foot is as deep as I'll fish. So you go out 15 to 20, you make casts in 15 to 20, and then you come in to your mid depths and you'll fish 8 to 10, and then you'll fish 4 to 6 or whatever, or 1 to 2 or whatever you're fishing. Generally you want to start out deeper and then work your way in as you hit a spot. That way, if you don't go across the fish that you're trying to catch before you have a chance to catch them. If you're not good at fishing deep, then fish shallow. You know, like whatever you believe and whatever your strengths are is what you want to focus on. I mean, there's been times where I'm confused. I don't know what to do. I don't know whether to fish shallow, and I don't know whether to fish deep. And as long as you fish your strengths, you'll catch fish. You just want to. The worst thing you can do is go out deep if you don't like to fish deep, or if you don't know how to fish deep, and just mill around and not even know what you're doing. It'll take you forever. If you even catch one, it'll take you forever, because those groups of fish that are out deeper in such tight areas, you either know them or you don't, and they're not very big. I mean, the areas that you're going to fish, or that you're going to catch good ones offshore, are going to be the size of the hood of a car, and there's a whole lot of lake to fish out deep if you don't know where to fish or what you're doing out there, just to mill around and not catch any. That's a whole lot of wasted time. Now again, contradicting myself, that's how you're going to learn, though, you know. So if you have the spare time and you don't care whether you're catching fish or not, then go out deep and spend some time out there, you know. I mean, that's how I learned it. I didn't have anyone show me where anything was. You just have to spend your time out there until you find them. And then once you find a group of them, or you find a certain pattern, then you can go around and you know exactly what you're looking for. Because typically they're going to be on pretty much the same type of stuff every time. They go out there for a reason. You know, they're good ambush spots for them to eat bait and get fat. And that's why when you're fishing deep, the size goes up. You know, you're catching bigger fish. They're not stupid either. They're, for having the size of a pea as a brain, they're actually pretty smart. Well, we can't figure them out. You know, no one knows exactly what they do, but we have our theories, and your theories seem to either be true or false. But like I said, there are, if you wonder how some people come out here and they catch them all the time, it's just little key stuff that you're looking for. Like I've mentioned all of them. You know, you have to pay attention to what you're fishing. Like every time you get a bite, there's a reason you got that bite. And once you figure out the reason for it, then you can look for obvious stuff that's the same thing, and chances are you're going to catch more until you have it pretty much dialed in of what to look for. It's hard to beat fish and grass, though. I mean, if you like catching fish, it's hard to beat fish and grass. And those key subtleties are what makes the biggest difference. Deep water, nearby, points in the grass, points where they meet pads, and fluctuations in bottom. That's the best possible scenario. You want to try and move quick too, as quick as you can through an area. If you catch one, you can always turn around and hit it again, but you can see I don't waste much time. I'm spending 15 minutes to a half hour on an area and moving on. A lot of the time, like I said, they will get it on the fall. So if you're wasting time in between then, or wasting casts in between then, it's a waste of time. You just want to let it fall, maybe let it fall a few more times, and then reel it back and do it again. And just pitch to targets every time. The edge of the grass on the first pitch. Then if you see a stump, pitch to that the second pitch. Then, the other end of the grass, or whatever the case may be. Just do it quick, pitch, let it fall, do it again. You'll have better chances of catching more fish throughout the day. Especially if it's a high, sunny, bright day. Midday gets really tough. I mean, basically from 11 o'clock on it's really tough. You got to literally hit them right in the head with it for them to eat it. If it's cloudy or if there's a storm coming through, then that's different. I mean, you have the barometer change will make a huge difference and force those fish to feed. I mean, it just triggers them some whatever reason, it just triggers them to feed. Also shade. Shade is a big factor too. If you can find grass that's still in the shade later in the day, that's perfect. I mean, the more shade the better, because bluegill love shade. So when the bait gets up there in the shade, the bass will follow them and they'll just be really close by.